Not according to the culture at the time, though. Morality is subjective, not objective. For example, a woman to dress the way they do would be completely morally wrong just around 100 years ago in this country. There are people who believe homosexuality is morally wrong, and it is morally wrong for us British to accept gay people, and we believe that countries like Iran are morally wrong for not accepting them. The concept of marriage was different in the time of the Prophet due to the culture. Secondly, the age of Aisha cannot be known because of the unreliable texts. All we can know for definite was that she was young. Well, a simple glance at Wikipedia will tell you that Aisha was first raped at age 9, and it's not consummation, it's child rape. Before anyone says Wikipedia is useless, is it really possible that such a misrepresentation could possibly take place, given the sensitive context? If it had no basis, it would be slanderous and it would never have made it onto an objective website. It's there because it's true, and no one denies it. One source is Karen Armstrong, a noted defender of religion. What we normally get, and what my friend normally offers, is a hasty admission that Mohammed was in fact a paedophile, followed by various appeals to context. This is the most morally offensive thing of all, attempting to justify the unjustifiable. Just do a YouTube search, it's full of this bullshit. I'll provide some links also. Everyone was doing it. Well, my friend continues, but it's like what Mary Midgley's case in her writing, Trying Out the New Sword. Is it possible to judge another time and culture using our own morals? I agree with what you are saying more so than before, but personally I have a small issue with judging other cultures using our own standards. What standards do we then use in order to establish the goodness of Muhammad and Allah in the first place? Well, anyway, I said the following. Why am I not excoriating the crimes of Genghis Khan or some other warlord? Because no one is trying to make his life a basis for a religion, so there is little point. When you say that someone is completely without sin, despite the fact that they killed and molested children, you invite mockery. My friend then said, I agree there, I suppose. I didn't convert him, obviously, despite this unexpected concession, perhaps just a sign he was tired of arguing, but he did at least listen and try and argue. However, if he and others like him are successful with his cause, arguments like these will not be possible. I'll end this section by quoting the eminent YouTuber Dazzletack, who puts these things more eloquently than I can. Everyone has the right to dissent from the madness of mobs. To want a set of ideas protected from criticism is outrageous in a democracy. What these idiots are campaigning for is an affront to democracy and freedom of speech. The truth has nothing to fear from dissent. Why not simply prove that what you say is true, rather than seeking to stop people asking? Should we stop Muslims from speaking out against things they find offensive? No. Islam makes many offensive claims and causes some adherents to kill. Imagine a petition to criminalize religious attacks on free speech. The problem is that they don't just want immunity from being offended, they want the right to offend others protected. They want to stand on corners and tell people that gay people are evil, and criminalize anyone who disagrees with them. It's absolutely disgusting that in 2012 there are people who want to criminalize criticism of stupid ideas. My question is this: why does the West fight to protect Islam from criticism? Why do some self-styled liberals treat religion as sacrosanct? The political parties in my country, while not being as theocratic as the American right, nonetheless never fail to pay lip service to the great faith traditions. It's simply a category mistake. A faith is a series of beliefs, which are almost certainly false, even if one of them is true. There are so many that any given faith is infinitely likely to be false. And faith can also be changed. A faith is not like race or sexual orientation. Faith is an idea. Ideas are not people. Ideas can be scrutinized, attacked, mocked, abused, and refuted. Ideas don't need to be pandered to. Good ideas can stick up for themselves. It's considered politically incorrect to mock faith based on this rather egregious and obvious category error. Why the great faith traditions? Why not also the great historical ideologies? Why not also existentialism and postmodernism? Things that are distinguishable from nothing. The answer is, I think, that the great faith traditions need this extra padding in the age of information, but the cat is out of the bag. The liberal Westerners who think that Islam should be exempt from criticism are a strange, perhaps false kind of liberal. It's easy to see why conservatives think this. But anyway, they are so far left that they play perfectly into the hands of the right. They are tolerant in the wrong way, in a self-refuting way. There is a certain paradox to tolerance. This was recognized by Karl Popper, who wrote, "The so-called paradox of freedom is the argument that freedom, in the sense of absence of any constraining control, must lead to very great restraint, since it makes the bully free to enslave the meek. The idea is, in a slightly different form, and with a very different tendency, clearly expressed in Plato. Less well known is the paradox of tolerance. Unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappearance of tolerance. If we extend unlimited tolerance, even to those who are intolerant, if we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed, and tolerance with them. In this formulation, I do not imply, for instance, that we should always suppress the utterance of intolerant philosophies, as long as we can counter them by rational argument and keep them in check by public opinion. Suppression would certainly be unwise. But we should claim the right to suppress them, if necessary, even by force, for it may easily turn out that they are not prepared to meet us on the level of rational argument, but begin by denouncing all argument. They may forbid their followers to listen to rational argument because it is deceptive, and teach them to answer arguments by the use of their fists or pistols. We should therefore claim, in the name of tolerance, the right not to tolerate the intolerant. We should claim that any movement preaching intolerance places itself outside the law, and we should consider incitement to intolerance and persecution as criminal in the same way we should consider incitement to murder or to kidnapping or to the revival of the slave trade as criminal. In short, we should be as tolerant of the intolerant as much as is possible, but not more. We cannot be so tolerant that tolerance itself is undermined. The Westerners who would be so tolerant as to allow men to beat their wives for refusing to wear a veil, because that's how they do things over there, and who believe in group autonomy over individual autonomy, cannot properly be called liberal. They can only be called confused. The demand that anyone suspend their critical faculties is obviously spurious, but when the demand is designed to shield a backward and fascistic faith system based on the life of a child-raping warlord, the only credible retort is to heap more of the same scorn and ridicule that the fundamentalist Muslims and categorically confused liberals want to silence. The West must learn to stare down demands to quell its critical faculties in the name of respect in order to remain what it is. This was true when the Rushdie affair occurred, and has not changed, even if the quality of the work in question has. Freedom of speech extends to babbling idiots, mediocre movie makers, and theocratic fascists, which is fortunate for the would-be censors. The reason liberal democracy is better than an Islamic ideology is because liberalism is a great protector of Islam in the West. It's a protector of all ideologies, but it has to protect them from each other, and not allow any one group to impose beliefs unique to them on anyone else. The strong liberalism which does not yield to threats of violence is better than the quasi-liberalism which attempts to smooth over problems by bending its own rules, and for the same reason. It is a stronger protector of diversity and the open society. It means that Muslims can never be coerced out of their religion by a sudden change of power. This is not true of quasi-liberalism, who, if they had their way, would yield to Islam the open society. This did begin to happen with Labour in England. It is in fact the new atheism which has in fact killed this category mistake, and secularism is regaining some of its losses. Muslims flourish in Europe, and the vast majority are good and peaceful, but many well-meaning and fairly moderate Muslims share this common category mistake, that religion deserves protection in the same way race, gender and disability do. It simply doesn't. Religion deserves no more protection than my belief that Karl Popper was successful in solving the problem of induction, or that Rachmaninoff was the greatest composer of the 20th century.